In the 6th year of our relationship, I touched the gift box containing the engagement ring in my boyfriend Dennis's coat pocket. On my birthday, full of anticipation, I saw photos of him going in and out of a high-end couple's restaurant with another girl on my Instagram. I quickly took a taxi to that restaurant and witnessed him kneeling on one knee to propose to someone else. Everyone around was cheering for them to get together. After accumulating enough disappointment, instead of making a scene like I used to, I quietly dialed my father's phone. Dad, I've agreed to the arranged marriage with the Robinson family. Start preparing for the wedding. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. Hearing what I said, my father was stunned at first, and then his tone was full of joy. My dear daughter, you've finally come to your senses. The most important thing in marriage is to be of the same social status. You can just taste the porridge and side dishes outside, but we can't eat white porridge for a lifetime. I softly responded with an, standing alone in the lobby of the couple's restaurant, watching Dennis and that girl kiss amidst the cheers of the crowd. Everyone was cheering for them, while I was like a wooden puppet with stiff limbs, not moving at all. My father also heard the lively noise on my end and urged me. Then when will you come home and meet the young master of the Robinson family? They've been urging for the engagement. In 3 days. After I finish dealing with things here, I'll go home right away. After hanging up the phone, perhaps because I was so out of place with the cheering crowd around me, Dennis put the ring on that girl with a trembling hand. Then, when he stood up, he saw me. We looked at each other across the crowd. Dennis seemed a bit surprised by my presence, furrowing his brows. Then he led that girl back to their seat. Roses, champagne, the melodious piano music of love, and a romantic candlelit dinner. In the 6 years I was with him, I had never been to such a place with him. I turned around and left. Dennis's friends were all there, and that's where I saw the photo in one of their Instagram. Before leaving, I heard them whistling and clapping. You two are really a perfect match. After all these years, you finally achieved your goal. Come on, everyone, raise your glasses. Let's toast the newly engaged couple. May all lovers get married. I smiled bitterly in my heart. In the 6 years I accompanied Dennis, his friends didn't know about my relationship with him, but they all knew about his relationship with that girl. A nameless sour feeling welled up in my heart. It was my birthday today. At first, the sweetness I felt when I found the ring in his coat pocket had now all turned into a poison that pierced my heart. After taking a taxi, I went back home and saw the birthday cake delivered to my door by the deliveryman. On the greeting card outside the box was Dennis's handwriting. Happy birthday to my baby. May everything go smoothly for you. The delivery guy smiled at me enviously. Miss, your boyfriend is really good to you. He ordered the most expensive cake in our store, and he even wrote the greeting card himself. I opened the door and casually put the cake on the table. So, he still remembered it was my birthday. But what did he do today? I weakly lay on the sofa, facing the empty room. My eyes involuntarily turned red. There were traces of our life together everywhere in the room. But my boyfriend bought an engagement ring and proposed to another woman. Looking at that cake now, I just felt nauseous. I sat on the sofa for a long time, until I almost forgot the time. The door of the apartment suddenly opened. Dennis came back looking tired, holding a bouquet of flowers in his hand. He walked towards me, and there was no trace of guilt or apology on his face. Diana, I brought you your favorite Lysianthus. Lysianthus represents loyal and unique love. Now, being held in Dennis's hand, it was like a joke. I took the bouquet of flowers. Dennis thought I had calmed down, and then he started to explain. Carlin has bone cancer this time. Her only wish is to marry me. We grew up together, so I can't let her wish go unfulfilled. So, I'll get engaged to her in 3 days. You've always been so understanding. You must be able to understand me, right? His tone was not like an explanation but more like a notification. He was going to get engaged to Carlin in 3 days. It was really a coincidence. I was also planning to leave in 3 days. I nodded quietly. In the past, Dennis couldn't stand my temper as a young lady. He said that every time I encountered a small matter, I always went to him to seek attention and kept asking if he loved me. Later, I gradually corrected myself and learned to be patient. Now, I didn't make a scene, and I didn't even ask if he still loved me. Dennis glanced at me in surprise. I'm moving out to live with Carlin tomorrow. You'll have to be alone for the next few months. Carlin is a patient. She needs me more than you do now. I smiled, put down the flowers. When Dennis saw that I didn't object, He leaned in to touch my face. I subtly dodged. There was a bright lipstick mark on his shirt collar, and the sweet smell of perfume got into my nose, making me feel nauseous. Dennis was rejected by me, and he got angry. Without saying anything more, he quickly left home. I threw the flowers and the cake into the trash can and then started packing my things. I didn't want the flowers, and I didn't want Dennis either. I no longer had any attachment to this home where I had lived for 6 years. The next day, I went back to the company and sat at my workstation, printing out my resignation letter. I met and fell in love with Dennis in college. Later, when he joined this technology company, I followed him here. I refused my parents' arrangements and accompanied him to start from being a small staff member. After being with Dennis, I once subtly mentioned the idea of getting married. But Dennis was busy with work and always said that he hadn't made a career yet and was afraid that my parents wouldn't let their precious daughter marry him. Establishing a career first and then getting married was what he always told me. In order to avoid adding to Dennis's burden, I silently did the ideological work in front of my parents and didn't dare to reveal my family background, fearing that it would put more pressure on him, now that he had become the vice president of the company. When I found the ring in his pocket, I had hoped that he had finally made up his mind to propose to me. In the end, it was all my wishful thinking. A colleague next to me came over and was surprised to see the resignation letter on my computer. Sister Diana, you're about to be promoted to the director of the company. Why are you resigning? I smiled. I'm getting married soon. Maybe I'll change to another company to work. Colleague Lena also smiled and congratulated me. Everyone in our company seems to have good news lately. I saw Mr. Dennis's Instagram last night. He said he's getting engaged. I have to say, the vice president and his girlfriend really match. It's said that they grew up together and are each other's first love. The smile on my face suddenly faded. I opened my phone and saw that Dennis had blocked me on both his main and secondary accounts. Dennis's main account was for personal use. After he left home last night, he blocked and deleted me. His secondary account was for work. When I opened the chat window, all that was left between us was serious communication as superiors and subordinates. Just then, Dennis walked into the office with Carlin. They were very close. Carlin had a rosy complexion and a bright smile on her face, looking nothing like a patient. Then Dennis introduced to everyone. This is the new technical director of the company. Everyone, get to know her. Let's get along well in the future. Lena was shocked. Her eyes turned between me and Carlin. Then she bowed and greeted Carlin. Hello, Miss Carlin. I didn't say anything and silently clenched the resignation letter. Dennis looked at me with dissatisfaction. Diana, everyone has greeted the new director. What's your attitude? Carlin chuckled and reached out her hand to me. We'll be working in the company together from now on. Please take care of me. As soon as I reached out my hand, Dennis pulled Carlin's hand back. You're the director. There's no need to give face to this little staff member. Let's go. I'll show you around the new environment. Then the two of them left one after another, leaving me standing there with my hand still outstretched, looking like a clown. Lena pulled me to sit down and started gossiping at our workstation. Sister Diana, did you see that? That's Mr. Dennis's fiancé. The diamond necklace around her neck was given by Mr. Dennis yesterday. It's said to be worth millions. But Mr. Dennis's sudden appointment of her is too obvious. You've been in the company for 5 years, and everyone has witnessed your work ability. Mr. Dennis just gave the position that should have been yours to someone else so casually. I nodded absently. I had already been thinking about resigning. Carlin's sudden appointment today just made me see more clearly my position in Dennis's heart. I picked up the documents and the resignation letter and knocked on the door of Dennis's office. Come in. Dennis's tone was cold. I put everything down, including the materials that needed to be handed over after my resignation. Dennis flipped through those documents. The more he looked, the darker his face became. Finally, he raised his eyes and stared at me with a sneer on his face. Diana, I thought you had changed and wouldn't throw a tantrum casually, but you've revealed your true colors today, haven't you? After Dennis finished speaking, he threw the documents at me. I dodged and then lowered my head to pick up the documents that he threw on the ground one by one. He continued, Isn't it just that I took away your chance of promotion? Carlin has the same major as me. I believe in her ability. So I gave her the position of technical director. What right do you have to lose your temper? I stacked the documents and put them in front of him, calmly telling him, I'm not losing my temper. I just want to resign. Carlin has the same major as you, and you know her ability. What about me? I majored in jewelry design in college. But for Dennis, I pursued a double degree in a different major. I worked day and night to keep up with him. In his eyes, my efforts were worthless, weren't they? Dennis looked down at me haughtily. Do you have any idea how much ability you have? I've transferred you under Carlin. You can learn from her carefully. I smiled. My time is precious too. I won't learn things I don't like anymore. Fine. Then go. Let's see which other company will hire you. Dennis stood up from his office chair, looking at me like a fierce ghost. I turned around and left the office. The 6 years I spent with Dennis were like feeding a dog. But I won't revolve around him anymore. What's more, he wants me to be around Carlin. At noon, I went back to my workstation to pack my things. The little asteroid ornament on the table was given to me by Dennis the year he graduated. At that time, he vowed that I was his whole world. I smiled self-deprecatingly. After taking one last look, I put that ornament away. Just as I was leaving with the box in my arms, Carlin suddenly came in, looking anxious. I'm sorry, colleagues. I seem to have lost the necklace I was wearing today. Could you all cooperate with me? It's a routine inspection. The other people in the office started whispering. I saw Miss Carlin's necklace when I came today. The diamond on that necklace is really big, shiny, and sparkly. I think Miss Carlin is being too nice. Maybe someone saw that diamond necklace and was tempted to steal it. My God, there's a thief in our office. No wonder the biscuits and snacks on my desk always disappear without a trace. Dennis stayed by Carlin's side, and he blocked the door with the company's security guards and then checked everyone one by one. When it was my turn, I put down the box and cooperated with Dennis's inspection. Obviously, he also saw the asteroid ornament on the top. After a moment of hesitation, he had all the things in my box poured out. With a clatter, the things fell all over the ground, and the ornament was completely broken, turning into a pile of trash. Just like the 6-year relationship between me and him. Once there was a crack, it could never be healed. Several security guards were searching on the ground. Suddenly, Carlin covered her mouth and exclaimed, "My necklace." Everyone in the office was attracted by this exclamation. Their eyes landed on me, and they kept pointing at me behind my back. My God. So it was Diana who stole the new director's necklace. If the vice president hadn't blocked the office with people, she might have run away with the necklace by now. I really didn't expect Diana to be this kind of person. It's true that you can't judge a person by their appearance. Just because the new director was appointed suddenly and took her position. She's so petty. Diana is so narrow-minded. She's actually such a sneaky person. Fortunately, she's already resigned. Otherwise, I'd be a bit scared to be in the same room as her. My face turned pale. I definitely didn't touch Carlin's necklace. Someone must have touched my things during the time I went to submit my resignation letter. Dennis's face turned pale, and he picked up the diamond necklace from the pile of miscellaneous things. Holding the necklace, his expression showed extreme disappointment in me. Diana. He shouted my name angrily, and when I lowered my head, I saw him stepping on my things and forcefully grinding the fragments of the little asteroid ornament under his foot. As soon as I looked up, Dennis slapped me without hesitation. Apologized to Carlin. Why did you steal the necklace I gave her? At that moment, my heart completely died. He was holding the necklace worth millions that he gave to Carlin, and under his foot was the cheap thing he gave me, which was not even a fraction of the value of that necklace. In an instant, tears welled up in my eyes. Being misunderstood by my colleagues in the office was not as heartbreaking as this slap from Dennis, with whom I had been together for 6 years. How could he not believe me? Seeing that I didn't say anything, he dragged me in front of Carlin like I was trash and said harshly, "I'm telling you to apologize. Explain why you stole it." A trace of triumph flashed in Carlin's eyes. Quickly, she frowned pretendly and reached out to pull me up from the cold floor. I waved her hand away and stood up from the ground with my last bit of stubbornness. Although my eyes were misty with tears, I straightened my back and said word by word, "I didn't take it. There are surveillance cameras in the office. I want to check the surveillance to prove my innocence. Besides, I don't care about a mere diamond necklace at all." I stared into Carlin's eyes and said, "Enough. Stop going crazy." Dennis covered my mouth and dragged me out of the office. His big hand covering my mouth and nose was so strong that it seemed he wanted to suffocate me. Then, I heard Carlin smiling at the colleagues in the office and magnanimously saying, "Now that the thing has been found, I haven't suffered any losses. After all, we're all colleagues. I won't pursue it. I'll order afternoon tea for everyone this afternoon. Thank you all." Dennis seemed very afraid that I would expose my relationship with him in public. So he took me to the pantry. Tell me, what exactly do you want to do? There's a limit to your madness. He pinched the center of his forehead as he spoke, seemingly extremely headache about this matter. I gasped for breath, and there were purple marks on my face from where he had pinched me. When did you become like this? Fortunately, Carlin is magnanimous and forgave you. You go and apologize to Carlin right now. I won't apologize. Why should I admit something I didn't do? I looked at him coldly. Dennis said why I had become like this, but I wanted to ask him when he had become so unfamiliar. Carlin entered the pantry and brought me a cup of hot water in a paper cup. Sister Diana, drink some water to calm down. I know you have a grudge against me, but don't be so impulsive next time. I didn't take the cup of water, but Carlin was scalded by the boiling water in the cup and spilled the water on my arm. Oh, it's so hot. Carlin's fingers were scalded by a few drops of hot water, and Dennis quickly took her to the faucet to rinse. I was wearing thin clothes, and my chiffon shirt was completely soaked by the boiling water. My arm was scalded by the hot water, and it was like being burned by fire, emitting wisps of white steam. I went to the bathroom alone to deal with the burn. The left wrist quickly turned red and blistered. When I endured the pain and went back to my workstation to pack my things, Dennis came out and grabbed my hand. Hiss. I cried out in pain. Dennis was stunned and let go of me. He asked stiffly, "Are you okay?" I found it ridiculous. The slap mark on my face today was given by him, and the burn on my wrist was deliberately caused by Carlin. Dennis's hypocritical appearance now made me feel nauseous. I shook off his hand and swept the things scattered on the floor into the trash can. He seemed to want to say something, but finally turned around and left, leaving only a sentence. You were too impulsive today. After cleaning up the mess on the floor, I went to the company's surveillance room. I couldn't be wronged like this today. However, in the surveillance room, I was at a stalemate with the staff. I proposed to check the surveillance footage of the office this morning, but the staff stopped me, saying that only internal employees of the company were eligible to view the surveillance. I saw that my internal employee account had been blocked and deleted, and I understood that it was Dennis's doing. Only he and the company could arrange it so quickly and have my employee account deleted. He was firmly on Carlin's side and had already decided that I was the one who stole the necklace. But soon, I remembered that this technology company was also an industry under the Robinson family. So I thought of going home quickly to meet Evan, the young master of the Robinson family. I went back to the apartment where I had lived for 6 years. I moved all my things away and, by the way, cleared this relationship out of my life neatly, just like cleaning up the trash. In the evening, another delivery man came to the door. In the bag was the burn ointment from the pharmacy. I threw the burn ointment on the table and took one last look at this empty home before leaving. The next day, I booked a flight back to Beijing. I explained all the work that hadn't been handed over to the person who took over my position. On the third day, I carried my suitcase and stepped into the airport alone. Before boarding the plane, I sent a breakup message to Dennis's work and personal distinguished secondary account for the first time. Of course, like other colleagues in the company, I also wished him and Carlin a happy engagement. Then I deleted all of Dennis's contact information. The plane glided and landed, and my parents came to the airport to pick me up in person. My mother took my hand and looked at me with pity. My dear daughter, you've been studying and working so far away from home. Look, you've lost so much weight. My father also patted my shoulder and said, "It's good that you're back." Next to my parents stood a man with a straight posture, broad shoulders, and a narrow waist. The man looked a bit older than me. He was wearing a gentleman's three-piece suit, with deep eyebrows and gentle eyes, and there was a faint smile in his eyes as he looked at me. That gaze was burning, and I blushed involuntarily. I already guessed the man's identity. My parents quickly introduced me. Diana, this is Evan. I reached out my hand to shake his. Evan also extended his big palm and gently held the tips of my fingers. Fiancé, welcome home. Evan looked at me with a curved smile, and his words made my face turn red instantly. My parents looked at us with a smile and pushed me towards Evan. Evan took the suitcase I was pushing with my left hand. He was very attentive and immediately noticed the burn on my wrist. How did you get the burn on your wrist? Evan asked me. I didn't want to talk about the embarrassing experience in the pantry, so I just said that I was accidentally burned. Evan's eyes flashed, and then he touched my head. From now on, you'll be my wife. You have the habit of accepting my kindness. Okay, I replied weakly. His tenderness was almost overwhelming for me. After sending Evan away, I hadn't thought about how to confess to him, but my parents noticed that I had something on my mind. Diana, Evan really likes you. The person your parents chose for you can't be wrong. I nodded. Along the way, Evan was very considerate to me, and I saw it all. At the thought that Dennis and Carlin were getting engaged today, receiving the blessings and praises of everyone, while I was wrongly accused of being a thief who stole the necklace. In the end, I chose to tell my parents everything about this relationship. Dennis chased me when we were in college, and we got together before we graduated. I had heard that he had a childhood sweetheart who he had played with since he was a child, but I had never seen Carlin by his side, so I didn't take it to heart. There was a crystal ball ornament on Dennis's desk. Once, when I was cleaning his study for him, I accidentally touched that ornament, and he stood up suddenly and pushed me away. Don't come into my study again. You're not allowed to touch anything in here. Dennis had a very dark expression on his face when he spoke to me, but when he picked up the crystal ball, there was infinite tenderness in his eyes. I was pushed to the ground. When I looked up at Dennis, I accidentally saw the inscription on the base of the crystal ball, given by Carlin. I remembered the platonic relationship I had with Dennis in the past 6 years. Dennis always said he liked me, but at most, he just stared at my lips and held my hand. Besides hugs, he never touched me and was stingy with giving me a kiss. I asked him why he didn't have normal impulses between a man and a woman towards me, but he just said, "My parents have old-fashioned ideas. We're just in a relationship now. These things can only be done when we're really talking about marriage. This is also a manifestation of my love for you." When I heard that, I was deeply moved and became even more determined to be with Dennis. I even ran away from home and refused the arranged marriage prepared by my parents. Now that Carlin had returned to the country, I understood everything. It turned out that for all these years, Dennis had been remaining chaste for Carlin. In the late night when Dennis was drunk, I once heard him mumbling that I wasn't even worth a hair of Carlin's. At that time, I thought it was just his drunken words, so I didn't pay attention. But now I have completely recognized this relationship. Those drunken words in the late night were probably from the bottom of Dennis's heart. After listening to me, my parents felt sorry for me. My father said, "You deserve it. You have to taste the bitterness of love to know how well we've protected you on a daily basis." But I also saw that the veins on my father's hand were popping out, and his face was so angry that it seemed he wanted to grab Dennis and beat him up on the spot. My mother hugged me and comforted me. "Okay. Don't think about these frustrating things now that you're home. It's just a diamond necklace. Mom will buy you more tomorrow. You can wear a different one every day." The sadness in my heart caused by recalling the past was suddenly diluted, and I smiled through my tears. I had a good rest that night. The next day, there were a lot of missed calls from an unknown number on my phone. I was used to turning on flight mode when I slept. As soon as I turned on my phone, these more than 99 missed call messages rang like a death knell. The next second, the phone rang. I tentatively answered the call. After all, this stranger seemed very persistent. "Hello?" I asked. Soon, a familiar voice came from the other end of the phone. "Diana, how long are you going to keep making trouble? You moved out of the apartment. Where are you living now? Carlin has forgiven you. I'm not asking you to apologize to her anymore. As long as you come back to work in the company, I'll promote you to be my assistant." I sneered and asked him, "Have you read the message I sent you yesterday? If you received too many blessings on your engagement yesterday, I don't mind saying it to you again." Dennis on the other end of the phone suddenly held his breath, but I continued, "We're breaking up." "Well, have I made myself clear to you now? Do you understand?" Before he could reply, I hung up the phone and blocked and deleted that unknown number. The morning is the most important part of the day, but Dennis came to ruin my good mood early in the morning. So annoying. After quitting my job, I no longer need to spend extra time learning computer knowledge that I don't like every day. I majored in jewelry design in college. Now I have picked up the drawing paper and brush again and can work in the design industry that I love. In the afternoon, I was painting in the greenhouse at home when Evan suddenly visited. He brought me a pearl and diamond tiara. I recognized it as an antique tiara from the last century at a glance because I had seen it in a book. I really liked the design of the lover's knot element on the tiara. Moreover, the pearls on the tiara were crystal clear and plump, and their sizes gradually changed with the arrangement. They were ingeniously matched with the diamonds, just like the lover's teardrops on the tiara. He gave me this pearl and diamond tiara. I said I couldn't accept it without doing anything. He said it was a gift he had ordered for his fiancée long ago, and now it was just returning the thing to its rightful owner. The doubt in my heart finally had an answer. I said that when I was 18 years old on my birthday, I took a fancy to this tiara, and I didn't know who had taken it away by paying an extremely high price in advance. It turned out to be Evan. But at that time, how was he so sure that I would like this gift? Evan told me that when he was 16 years old, on the Binjalia Island, he suddenly fainted on the shore and almost got washed away by the waves. It was me who saved him with a lifebuoy. When he opened his eyes, he firmly remembered me and thought I was like a goddess descending to earth. What's more, my professional guidance teacher in college was Evan's mother. No wonder Evan knew my preferences so well. So, just for this life-saving grace, you decided to have an arranged marriage with my family. But when I saved you, I didn't think so much, and I didn't even recognize him at first sight. I felt really ashamed. But after hearing my words, Evan shook his head. Perhaps. Do you believe in love at first sight? I couldn't help but smile. The drama of love at first sight was more like a plot in a fairy tale book. Evan also smiled. I don't believe it either. But every time I see you, my heart won't lie. There was deep affection in his eyes, and his eyes were so gentle that it seemed he would drown me. So, my heart started to flutter. Evan said he had waited for me for 10 years. Originally, when he saw that I had a boyfriend, he thought about backing off. But when he knew that Dennis had a first love in his heart for many years and that Dennis couldn't give me the happiness I wanted, he decided to try to pursue me. He took out a diamond ring and knelt on one knee. The ring that fit perfectly was now on my fingertip. I hope I can have the opportunity to love you openly. It doesn't matter if you don't believe me now. The rest of our lives are long, and I will prove it with my actions. My parents somehow appeared. Each of them held a bouquet of roses and happily said, "Promise him, promise him." Remembering the scene I saw in the couple's restaurant on my birthday, now the protagonist surrounded by flowers and cheers was me. This time, I also want to be willful and have a love like a robbery. I put my fingertip into the ring. There were faint tears in Evan's eyes, and he slowly pushed the diamond ring in, trapping me. My mother came over and put the pearl and diamond tiara on my head. My father burst into tears. While wiping his tears, he didn't forget to take out his phone to take pictures and record videos. Before the wedding, I was rushed by my parents to get a marriage certificate with Evan. They were afraid that I would go back on my word and tied me to the household register of the Robinson family. And for Evan, I truthfully confessed my first relationship with Dennis. After hearing it, Evan stroked the faint red scar on my wrist and gently kissed it with great distress. "I'll take care of the surveillance matter. Don't worry. When your wrist is completely healed, I'll take you to choose a wedding dress." I nodded and watched Evan busying up and down for our engagement banquet, enjoying it. In the past 6 years, I had been revolving around Dennis. Now that I had completely cut off my relationship with Dennis, I felt light as if I had lifted a heavy burden. Watching Evan personally select the venue, airlift various flowers, write the invitation letters by himself, and ask a professional team to design and create the wedding look for me, I felt what it was like to be truly loved. I finally understood that love was mutual and not one-sided taking and the other side's endless giving. In these 6 years, I asked myself and found that I had given enough to Dennis. Now I want to start a healthy and positive love relationship. No, now that I'm married to Evan, our relationship is even more solid. A few days later, Evan told me that he had cleared my name regarding the surveillance matter. Everyone in the company knew that it was all a play directed and acted by Carlin, and the purpose was to drive me out of the company. On the day the surveillance video was leaked, Carlin was taken away by the public security organ for investigation on the charge of slander, and Evan immediately removed Carlin from the position of technical director. Of course, Evan didn't let go of the fact that Dennis slapped me. In the name of my fiancé, he demanded compensation from Dennis. It didn't matter how much the compensation was, but making Dennis feel bad and publicly revealing my relationship with him in the company. Evan had achieved his goal. When Evan told me about this, his eyes flickered, and he looked at me with a bit of guilt. "Do you feel uncomfortable with what I did?" I quickly curled my lips and told him, "For the first time, I feel how wonderful it is to have someone backing me up." Evan smiled, his eyebrows curved, and his eyes full of joy. Later, the scar on my wrist completely disappeared, and Evan took me to choose a wedding dress. Outside the wedding dress store, after such a long time, Dennis appeared in front of me again, holding a bouquet of lysianthus. "Diana, I won't marry Carlin. I've realized my true feelings these days. I only like you now." I turned my head in disgust. As soon as I saw Dennis, The picture of him kneeling and proposing to Carlin on my birthday clearly replayed in my mind. But now Dennis used the lips that had kissed another woman to say that he actually liked me. It was ridiculous. I didn't even bother to look at him. Dennis now had a beard and looked slovenly. He couldn't compare to even half of Evan. I held Evan's arm and walked around. But Dennis ran over and grabbed my wrist. He held the medical records page by page in front of me and told me, "Carlin doesn't have bone cancer. She lied to us. If I had known she was not sick, I would never have chosen to get engaged to her. Diana, please take a look. Please look at them. I'm really not lying to you. Come on, everyone, raise your glasses. Let's toast the newly engaged couple. May all lovers get married. Dennis, I hope you can respect yourself and better put away those inappropriate thoughts about my wife." After saying that, I raised my hand and threw the pile of insignificant waste paper that Dennis put in front of me away. What did it matter to me whether Carlin was really sick or not? I only knew that what Dennis had done couldn't be written off because of these fake medical records. And I couldn't just pretend that nothing had happened and go back to him. Dennis's current appearance was simply wishful thinking. The medical records fluttered to the ground. Seeing Evan looking jealous, I leaned closer to him affectionately, stepped over the scattered papers, and didn't look at Dennis again. When Dennis threw the resignation letter and documents at me, did he ever think that he would one day kneel on the ground and beg for my forgiveness with red eyes? Time couldn't turn back, and I couldn't forgive him either. But hating someone would also waste my energy. So, the best way was to treat Dennis as a stranger. But Dennis still didn't give up. He got up from the ground and rushed towards Evan with his fist raised. "It's all you're doing. You're trying to take Diana away. To protect me." Evan let go of my hand and was knocked down by Dennis. I quickly called the security guards outside the wedding dress store. This was a high-end wedding dress store that offered private customization. The customers who came here to order wedding dresses were either rich or noble, and they had the responsibility and obligation to protect their customers. Dennis was quickly subdued by a group of security guards and pressed to the ground. I didn't even look at him. I rushed forward to help Evan up, my eyes full of distress. Through the crowd, Dennis finally understood that there was no place for him in my eyes or my heart. He had lost the girl who used to have only him in her eyes, and I had found my own lover who only had me in his eyes and heart.